Welcome to the Modify Resources block tutorial. This block can be used to add or remove access to a resource element at any time during the scenario. This is an example of a job interview scenario where the learner plays the role of the recruiter. In the Resources page, available in the top bar, I've already defined 3 resources accessible to my learner: documents and images. All these elements are visible from the start of the scenario, except for the candidate CV resource, which I've hidden by default. My goal is to make this resource accessible to the learner only if he explicitly asks the candidate for his CV. So I close the Resources page to return to my graph. I've already created a sentence choice block that allows the learner to ask the candidate questions. One of these questions asks for the candidate's CV. When this option is selected, the candidate's CV is displayed in a foreground block. But I also want it to remain accessible at all times during the rest of the discussion, as if it were a sheet of paper on the desk in front of the learner. Once the CV has been shown, I place a Modify Resources block. In its parameters, I can choose the resource to be modified. I select Candidate's CV, then indicate whether it should be made visible or hidden. Here, I want to make it visible when this block is executed. When a resource is made available, a good practice is to explicitly notify the learner of this change, for example, via a message block or a show interface block. Here, I use both. Let's run the scenario to see what happens. At the start of the scenario, if I access the resources, we see that I don't have access to the CV. So I'll close the resources and move on with the discussion. I select the right choice to request the CV.
Do you have your CV with you?
Of course, here it is.
The candidate shows me his CV via the foreground block. Then I see that I have a notification on the Resources button with a message block and an arrow telling me that there's something new. When I open the resources, I see that I now have access to the CV for the rest of the scenario.